This is me as a passionate musician. Me as a fisherwoman. Ignore that I have white legs and white arms. I am biracial. This is me as a stand-up comedian. Also ignore that I have white arms and the male gender here and by gender. This is me as an Akara woman. And as you can see, this is me as a super dancer. I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can be whatever you want to be, whoever you want to be, and have as many interests as you want. If you've been H factor. If you've been asking yourself If you've been asking yourself questions like, what are my passions? What are my interests? How do I find my career path? How do I get started? What do I do? I'm done with school. What do I do next? I'm about to enter university. What should I choose? I think you may be taking yourself too seriously. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 very easy ways, very simple steps, very easy ways to find your interest, to find what passions you have, and how you can turn that into a career journey. I say career journey because I do not believe that you should have one definitive career. I feel like career is progressive and you can always change, but more on that later. So welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Oyinkansolami, as you already know, and so let's head straight into step 1. Okay, number one is that you should understand that career is fluid. Like I said earlier, you shouldn't. I feel like life is really big and there are so many things you can explore. There are so many things you can do for you to limit your scope of career to one path. So understand that making a decision now doesn't necessarily mean that's where you're going to be finally, or doesn't mean that's where you have to be for the rest of your life. Career is fluid, right? So as you go further, you might find other interests, you might pick other passions, and that's okay. I mean, what is life if it's not to be lived to the fullest? Whatever you want to do, you can do it. So number 1, understand that career is fluid. It doesn't have to be static. It doesn't have to be one fixed thing. You can always explore, right? That's number 1. Number 2, I said it's going to be a very brief video. So yes, number 2, you have to have a personal conversation with yourself. And based on experience, I would recommend that you have this conversation privately when nobody can see you, because imagine walking down the street and you're doing
Oyinka, what are you going to do with your life?
People are going to think so have it privately, preferably at night, in the middle of the night. And there's a way when you have conversations in the middle of the night, your brain is open, your mind is open, everything is just, I'm just joking, anytime is fine, but yeah, privacy, and have a conversation with yourself. And if you watched my other video, you know that one thing I'm always big on is honesty. So be honest to yourself, have an honest conversation with yourself. And what this conversation is going to entail is you picking a piece of paper and a pen and writing out the things that interest you. Now, I know that this is a video to find your interest, and I don't know what interests me, so this is a quick tip. Pick the last activity that you did. Maybe if it was eating, think of how you carried out that activity. So while you were eating, did you want to see some form of entertainment? Or while you were eating, were you, the process of eating, did you cook the food yourself? Do you enjoy cooking? While you were eating, did you look at your choice of plates, your choice of cutlery? Are you one that has an eye for coordination, for these are very mundane things, but they can help you find your interest. For example, if you're somebody who likes to eat on the same plate, the same bowl, the same cutlery, all of those things, you might be one for organization, for decor. You might like home upkeep, homekeeping, all those kind of things. You can just pick the last activity. Okay, let's say you watched a movie. What fascinated you most in the movie? Did you like the soundtrack? Did you would you like to create something like that? You may just have an interest in music, in creating sounds. Or do you feel like the sound could have been softer to the ears? Or maybe you should go into sound engineering. Not definitive, but these are things that could pique your interest. Yeah. Or maybe you went out on a date. Your choice of outfit, your choice of outfits. Are you one of those people who are very particular about coordination, about what you wear, how you look like, all those things? You may be interested in beauty and fashion. Are you Do you spend more time on your skincare than on makeup? You could be interested in skincare. They're just, some things that you can miss, that you may need to sit down and consider your activities to know what you especially like. So pick the last activity that you did. It can be very, today I went out and I remember that throughout my journey, what I was thinking about while I was walking, the podcast I was listening to was related to business growth, to marketing, all of those things. I chose walking instead of taking a cab because I needed time to, learn all of those things. So I like learning too. I enjoy learning. It doesn't have to be, like I said, don't take yourself too seriously. It doesn't have to be anything grandiose. Just whatever you feel interests you, write them down. And like I said, even if it is food, write it down. What type of food do you like? How do you like your food being presented? Just write down everything. I mean, nobody's going to see it anyways. You might as well. Number three step, or the number three activity you want to do is ask people around you questions. So you have friends, you have family, you have colleagues that you've worked with, you have classmates, you have work colleagues, you have people around you who have probably noticed you, who have been watching you for a while, and you may want to ask for their inputs. Just ask questions like, hello, Tom James, what do you think about me? What do you think I do well? What would you call my interests? What would you think fascinates me? What would you think I like? This is a very simple question, but people who have watched you, who have monitored you, may have an idea. They may pick things that you may have missed. They may pick that, whenever it's time to party, or whenever it's time for a group event, you're the one that is in charge of organizing, you're the one in charge of calling the different vendors, you're the one in charge of keeping people up to date. They could pick that you're the one in charge of choosing color coordination, or I'm saying coordination a lot in this video. The same way I said, anyway, the color code, or picking the activities that you do. They would help you. They can give you an idea. They can give you like a basic place to start from, and you don't have to take everything hook, line and sinker. You can always sift through what different people say. But I believe that once you ask 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and they have there'll be some interests that are similar that you may have missed, and that could form what your interest bank can be like. Let me call it the interest bank. That's number 3. So number 4, the next thing you want to do after you picked this is to volunteer in a role. What will volunteering do for you? Volunteering will give you an opportunity to express these skills that you may have, these interests that you may have, to explore them and to see if you like activities in them. Just because you have an interest in something doesn't mean you want to do it forever, or you want to do it regularly, or doesn't mean you want a career in it, and that's fine. Okay, what you just need to do is find a volunteer role, find a volunteer position that allows you to explore the skills, and it doesn't have to be too difficult. I'll do a video on how to get volunteering roles to explore your passions and interests, but it doesn't have to be serious. If you are a believer, a Christian, you can volunteer in church. You should be part of the workforce in church, right? Volunteer in a particular role. Okay, can I do this? Can I do that? The church is always an excellent place to start. I'm not very sure about other religious organizations, how easy it is to go into the workforce, but you can always start. You can volunteer in your environment. You can join volunteer organizations. There are some volunteer organizations that I know that when you join, they can give you opportunities to volunteer in a role, volunteer in that role. And so when you work in this role, volunteer in these roles, like I said earlier, you can explore the interests that you have. You can explore your skills. And then that brings us to number 5. Number 5, after you volunteered, you can give yourself maybe 6 months, thereabouts, 3 months to 6 months. And after you have volunteered, you can have another conversation with yourself in the middle of the night when nobody is watching. And then you think you can have a self-assessment. So I volunteered, and you don't volunteer in just one place, you can volunteer in multiple places. So number 5, you have another conversation and you self-assess yourself. I volunteered in this role, I volunteered in that role, I volunteered in this capacity. Which one of these roles, or which one of these activities did I do better in? Which one of these activities did I find natural? Did I enjoy more? Remember that my goal is, nobody is trying to suffer in this life. You can be successful without burning out. You can be successful without doing things that are boring. So pick the ones that interest you, the ones that you enjoy, the ones that you feel most natural in. For me, when I was at this stage, what I felt most natural for me was writing anything that had to do. It was always weird for me when people said they couldn't write, or they said things like writing is hard, they don't know how to compose, organize their thoughts. I'm like, this comes pretty easy to me. So anything writing, and then from there I was able to build up to, okay, I like writing, maybe I should pick copywriting. Oh, I like copy, maybe I should do content writing, maybe I should do marketing. And remember what I said, career is a journey, right? You don't have to have all the answers now, you don't have to have a fixed answer. Just know that, okay, these steps are supposed to just give you like a starting point, so, and you can build up from there. And finally, remember that I said that you shouldn't take yourself too seriously, you shouldn't be too rigid, be open to exploring. So even after you've gone through this process, if you went through this process and you say, okay, maybe I like this, and you start doing it and you realize that 1 year into it, 2 years into it, you don't like it anymore, that's fine. Start from step one again, and you can always branch. Although I believe that your core interest will be relatively consistent over time. So while the things you want to explore further might change, your core interests will still form like the base of the skills you have to explore the other career paths, right? So this is the end of the video. If you watched up to this point, please please subscribe, and remember that you can be whatever you want to be. There are no limitations. The sky is your starting point. You can be anything. If there's something I tell people around me, is that you can be anything you want to be. If my friend comes to me and says, oh, I want to do this, I'm like, fine, go for it. Oh, I want to explore this interest, go for it, because life is short anyway. Why would you spend it doing boring things that don't interest you? So Oyinkansolami again, please subscribe and share with your friends. Bye.